guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Origami Dojo and our first tutorial in figuratively forever, not literally. Anyway, we are going to go back to the basics and start with the crane and the flapping bird, because I need to brush up on my tutorial skills and you probably just need to brush up on your origami in general. I mean, if you're doing this, you're probably trying to show your crush or your kids that you're a man or woman of culture. So don't worry, I got your back. This channel is nothing but culture, in case you couldn't tell. Anyway, so most people think that these two are the exact same, but they're actually not. The flapping bird is a bird that can flap, and the crane is a bird that does not flap, but if you fold 1,000 of these, supposedly you get a wish or something, which, honestly, I would rather find a magic lamp, because 1,000 of those things, that's pretty tedious. But a magic lamp, I mean, you automatically get at least 3 wishes, maybe more if the genie's in a good mood. But enough of that, let's go ahead, crack our paper folding knuckles, and get on into this. Maybe less of the knuckle cracking in the future. Alright, so we are going to start with a sheet of copy paper, and we are going to turn it into a square. So to do that, you're just going to take the shorter edge here and fold it up to the longer edge. If you have a sheet of origami paper, of course, you already have a square, and you can just sit back and relax for this part, and watch the rest of us struggle, I guess. Alright, so once we have that, we want to crease as sharply as we can, and of course, everything in origami should be lined up as perfectly as you can make it. And then from here, all we have to do is just remove this strip of paper. Pretty much just discard this extra strip, or I guess just use it for whatever you want. I mean, this paper is colored, so I guess you could use it for, like, you know, smaller origami models. Just cut smaller squares out of this. That's what I usually do. And then we can unfold it, and now we have a square with a crease in it. So if you're using origami paper, you're actually going to need this diagonal crease. So in order to make it, you're just going to fold one corner up to the other, and then crease sharply. And then we're actually going to make an X in the center of our paper, so we're actually going to rotate it around and do the same thing with the other corner. And of course, again, make these creases as sharp as possible. Ideally, your creases should be so sharp that you could shave with them. Not that I've tried because I'm scared of paper cuts. Alright, so once we have this little X in the paper, and I should point out that if you're folding using origami paper with colors on two sides, like colors on one side and white on the other, then this should be the colored side and the white side should be underneath. It's probably a little too late to mention that now. You've probably ruined that good sheet of origami paper. I'm so sorry. Anyway, let's turn it over, and if you're using colored paper, this should be the white side. And we're going to fold it in half, this time just horizontally and vertically. So basically we're just going to make a plus sign in the center of the paper. And to do that, we're just going to take the bottom edge and fold it up to the top edge. And of course, when we do this, we want to make sure that these corners align and that the edge aligns neatly with the top. And if all of your creases have been neat so far, then your center crease will pass through the exact center of this X here. And once we have that, we're going to rotate it around, and one more time, we're going to take this bottom edge and fold it up to the top edge. Alright, and once we have this, we're actually just going to leave it folded, and we're going to flip the paper over. So we should have an opening on the bottom facing us. And what we want to do now is just take the top, and this edge, of course, should be closed. And we're just going to take it and bring the two edges in towards each other like this. And as you do it, this kind of giant mouth thingy should want to open up here. And then we're just going to fold it over so that the flap on top goes toward the left and this little flap underneath goes toward the right. And then once you have it, you'll end up with a smaller square right here. And then you're just going to want to flatten everything down. And now what we want to do is make sure that this open edge faces us, and we're going to take this edge and fold it to the center here. So we're just going to fold that in. And crease sharply. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side here. And when we do that, of course, we want to line everything up carefully. Do as I'm saying, not as I'm doing. And when we're done, we should end up with this thing, which kind of reminds me of an ice cream cone in the center here, on top of a square. So maybe an ice cream cone on top of a napkin or something. I don't know. I'm just kind of making this up as I go along. So now once we have that, we're going to take this top triangle piece here, and we're going to fold it down along these edges here. So if you want to put your finger here right at the edge of this, well, I guess at the bottom part of the ice cream, we're just going to take it and just fold along that and fold it down. And then we want to crease. And this is going to be a little difficult because we do have a lot of layers here at the top, but we're just going to do our best and crease that as sharply as possible. And now what we're going to do is lift this triangle up a little bit, and we're going to pull out the flaps that we folded in earlier. So we're just going to lift those out and fold those back down, and then push this triangle piece back down. Alright, there we go. So we kind of have a more diamondy type thing now, and that's good, because what we want to do now is open that up. So we're going to take this piece here, and we're just going to lift it up. And when we do that, it's going to be along this edge here. So basically, we're just taking this top triangle piece and folding it back up, but as we do, we're just going to fold this flap along with it. So we're going to fold up, and we should get this giant alligator mouth looking thing, which I guess, you know, we could stop here and we could have a great alligator, but not the point. I don't know why I keep getting sidetracked in these things. Anyway, so you're just going to lift it up, open it, and then just take these sides and just start pushing them in toward the center. And it's going to be a lot easier on the bottom because these creases are already here and they're going in the right direction. So it's probably easiest if you start at the bottom here and then just push them up and pull this top flap up. And it may also help if you just take your fingers and just kind of pinch along where this crease is. I don't know why I'm saying pinching. Just sort of take your fingers and crease here, and then do the same thing here. Just take your finger and just run it along your crease. And if you did this right, you should end up with something that looks a little bit like this. And of course, ideally, you're going to have a nice sharp point right at the top here. So once we have that, we are going to turn it over, and then we are going to take these edges and do the exact same thing. So we're going to fold them into that center line. Once we have those in and creased very, very sharply, we're going to take this top little triangle here and do the same thing we did before. We're just going to fold it down, and we want to crease sharply, and then we're just going to take these little side flaps here and pull them out, and then we want to take this little flap here and just lift it up. And then as we do that again, we're going to want to push the sides in. And again, it's a lot easier if we just start by pushing them in from the bottom and working our way up toward the top. And then as we work our way toward the top, we're just going to find these creases here that are already in place, just going the wrong direction. And we're just going to pinch them or crease them or whatever and make sure that they go in the right direction now. Alright, and we are done with the base for our bird, which is the biggest part of the battle. From here on, it's easy. And so here you can decide whether you want to make the crane or the flapping bird. Arbitrarily, I guess I'm just going to start with the flapping bird. Why not? It's the easiest. So to make the flapping bird, we are just going to take this flap here, and we're going to fold it up. And the fold should start from this point here, so basically we're folding out, and then just folding this flap out a little bit. Now, if you want to be really precise, what you can do is just line it up with this back side behind here. But I guess it really doesn't matter. And then you have to crease very sharply because we do have a lot of layers here. And then to make the head, we're just going to take this flap and then fold it down a bit. And whatever distance looks good to you. That looks good to me, so I'm going to call that good. I'm going to fold that. And now what we want to do is take the tail and do the same thing. We're just going to fold that up at a slight angle. And again, I like to line that up with that layer underneath. And then crease sharply. And here's going to come a slightly tricky part. We're going to fold these back to where they were. And then we're going to turn some of these folds inside out. So you can see this fold, it's kind of facing away from us. And that's what we call a valley fold because it's kind of a little valley. Well, what we want to do is turn it into a mountain fold, which is basically the opposite of a valley. So in order to do that, we're just going to open this flap up, we're going to stick a finger inside, and then we're just going to pinch it into shape. So as you can see, that was angling in away from us, and now it's out away from us. Alright, so then once we have this pinched, the paper is not going to want to lie flat anymore. It's kind of all like 3D and whatnot. So we're going to help it along and flatten it again by taking this flap and basically turning it inside out. So what's the best way to show this? Basically, you can see this flap here. We're just going to take it and push like this. And then when we fold it up, it's going to naturally want to fold along these lines which we made earlier, and we're just going to let it because that's what the whole point of those was. Anyway, so let's flatten this down. And then to make the head, I just flatten up to the point where the head starts, and then just push that inside as well. And of course, this fold was a valley fold, and we need to make it a mountain fold, so to do that, we are just going to pinch it into place. And there we go. And then from here on, we can make the tail, and that's a whole lot easier because there's no head involved. So, basically, we are just going to pinch this fold. This was a valley fold. We're going to turn it into a mountain fold using our origami magic. So then we're just going to, once we pinch that into place, we're going to just push it inside out. And there we go. Now to make your flapping bird flap, all you need to do is make 2 more folds. So we're going to take the wing, we are going to fold that down, and at any angle is good. Fold it down just however much you want. And this fold is going to start at this point here, which is like a part on the tail. And I just fold it down like this so that it kind of lines up with this edge here. I just like it when my origami models line up with that, so that's what I tend to do a lot. And then we're going to turn it over. We're going to take this tip, we're going to fold it down to meet the other wing tip, and again, this fold is going to start at this point here. That's the important part, how far you fold and all that isn't really. And we're just going to fold. And then once we have that, we're going to unfold, turn it over, unfold this one, and then we're just going to pull the tail and hold right here in the neck. And the first time you do it, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but once the paper learns what it's supposed to do, it'll flap just fine. So there we go. There is our little flapping bird. You can flap away to your heart's content. Right, so to make our crane, we are going to start with that same bird base from earlier, except in a different color this time, because we need to change things up. Alright, so the steps for the crane from this point on are a little bit different. And so to do this, before we make the head and the tail, we're actually going to narrow these flaps a little bit. And to do that, we are going to take this edge and fold it almost all the way over to the center edge here. And when I say almost, I mean your fold should make a sharp point down here, but instead of meeting all the way up at the edge, you're going to leave a slight gap. But I'll explain the reason for that later. Right now, all you need to know is that you need to trust me on this and do it. So down here, sharp point. Up here, there's a tiny bit of a gap between this edge and, well, the center crease. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. We're going to make that sharp point down at the bottom, and then fold up and leave just the tiniest little gap right there. And then we're going to turn over and do the exact same thing. And this one is actually a little bit easier because we can just line it up with the edges beneath. So sharp point here, slightly out from the edge, and then one more time. Alright, once we have that, now we can do the same thing that we did with the flapping bird. So we can make the head by folding this edge up, and the exact angle doesn't matter. This time I'm not going to try to line it up with anything. I'm just going to fold it out at an angle that looks good. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the tail. I'm just going to fold that out. And there we go. Those look good to me. So now let's do the same reverse folds we did earlier. We're going to find this little valley crease here, and we're going to turn it into a mountain fold and basically invert it. And then as we do that, we're just going to swing this flap through and then flatten it down and crease. And this is why we kept these, and this is why we made the folds out a little ways from the edge, because the paper is so thick that if you had these going all the way to the edge, when you try to fold it inside, these edges are all going to jam up at the center, and it's going to make it a whole lot harder to fold neatly and, keep this crane looking nice and professional looking. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We're just going to pinch that valley into a mountain, and as we do that, we're just going to turn that flap inside out, and as you can see, so basically as you can see here on the tail, I did not make those creases out far enough, and so the paper is kind of wanting to bunch up, and it's looking a whole lot thicker than I would like. So that's why we have this messy tail here. So I guess professional move on this side, unprofessional move on this side. Anyway, so now we're going to make the head, and to do that, we're just going to take this flap, fold it down however much looks good to you. I'm probably going to make it a tiny bit bigger. There we go, I'm going to call that good. Now I'm just going to reverse fold it like earlier, open up this flap, push it through, and as I do, just pinch that into a mountain fold. And there we go. Our crane is, well, actually almost done. In order to make it fully done, we need to take the wings and pull them apart until this little center triangle here puffs out into a nice little round shape. There you go. That is your crane, and that is your flapping bird. Alright, and we are back. I am so proud of you. You did it. I knew you could. Although, well, to be completely honest, there was a brief, tiny moment around step number 2 where I was like, I'm not sure, this isn't looking so good, but you pulled through. You did good. I am so proud. And look at you. You're the proud owner of either a crane or a flapping bird, whichever route you wanted to go with. The red bird or the blue bird. I'm not going to judge. It's your choice. Anyway, yeah, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys were able to fold these models. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe. Check out some other videos listed over here, hopefully, or somewhere on the screen. And don't forget to also like, comment, share, and all the other good stuff. That'll make me very, very proud. Not that I wasn't already proud of you for folding this with my terrible tutorial skills. Anyway, that's it for today. I will see you guys next time. And if there's anything else you want to see me fold, feel free to leave a comment below, and I will see what I can do for you. That's it for today. For real this time.